QTP, right? Let's quickly start because we don't have we are only 1 hour. So this is like for introduction, okay. So because QTP is like very it's a huge and it is not something which you can complete in 1 or 2 class, okay. So that this is something which will take. Oh, really? Screen is not clear. Okay. So is it good now? Okay. Okay. So QTP, right? This is not something which can be completed in 1 class or 2 class. This takes it's a long process because this is a complete different process. A complete different tool, a different tool altogether, and a different position altogether. Because so far we were actually we were learning about manual testing, right? Manual and a lot of no tools, no usage of tools. We just use a test management tool. That's it. And everything was manual pretty much, and we were doing about a lot of uh, observation than rather than working on actual skill. But here in this in QTP, you will be using more of a tool. Okay, so this will be a tool, and this is also testing. This too is a testing, but this is something which is called automation testing. So it's automation. That means all the test cases are automated. Okay, not exactly the test cases are automated, but the what you're trying to do is like automation testing. So you'll be having separate. So there's like automation tester. So it's like, let's say if you are using QTP in your project, let's say QTP or UFT, okay, unified functional testing. So you'll be having a separate thing. So if you are a manual tester, okay, that UFT people have to coordinate with the manual people saying that, okay, so we found some defect. So is this the same defect? Is it something related to this, or is it something completely different? Okay, so automation team members will be coordinating with manual team members. Okay, so this has separate, complete, different, different tools and different test cases and different position altogether. So you have this automation tester, okay, UFT tester, automation architect. Okay, you also have this automation architect who will be writing all the code, okay, and you also have this, it's a big company, you will also have a BA for automation and, QA developer. You also have this QA developer actually, automation developer, automation architect. Okay, so all this is a different hierarchy altogether. It's nothing to do with manual or something like that. This is to get you another skill, because just one skill is not enough to survive, right? Just you have just one skill and just you're testing. That's it. What do you know? You're not testing. That is not enough, right? That is never enough. You can if you want to survive, you need to know more than one, more than two, more than three. How many that many chances you give yourself to get a project. Okay, so okay, so let's get back to this. So I'll be giving you introduction for UFT. So QTP is the old version, like it is professional 9.2 is very old. Today we have this UFT, unified functional testing. The features are same. Okay, so they have added new features, of course. Okay, so that's new interface and all together. So, but here I'll be just giving you and various buttons. Okay, how do you use those buttons? How do you use the scripts? Okay, we'll just go through this. We'll just touch base around that. We don't go much deep because I'm not going into complete coding. I'll be just giving you hints and some hints and tricks. That's it. But I'm not going complete coding because that's a completely different thing. We'll just only touch base in that. Okay, so while you're doing this QTP, right? So let's say you have this tool. So whoever wants the tool is actually there in Google Drive. They can download and install. So I've already put in the Google Drive. You can go in the software section and you can download it. Okay, if you are interested, really interested, you can use that tool. Okay, so so testing process for this. Once you have, let's say you have this QTP installed in your system and you're ready to work. So these are the few processes you need to follow. Okay, so first you need to record. So recording, right? So recording is something which you record. Let's say we have the video recording, audio recording, you have so many things, right? Here what you are trying to record is screen recording, right? You're trying to record the screen of the, just like ordinary, different ordinary tool. But here you are using, separate recording for the QTP so that QTP understands what you are trying to do. So it captures all this information what you are trying to do when you are trying to do recording. Okay, that's how it utilizes its, so that's the use of recording. So it can record and play back. When you play back, you know what's going on. Okay, so what you're trying to do, right? So that's what about recording. So you need to record. Once you record, you can enhance the test. So once you record, all the recording code is generated in VB scripts, Visual Basic Script. So all the code which is generated, it's in VB script, and you can tweak the code. Like if you want something, you can add it. If you don't want something, delete it. You can do tweaking around with the code and customize as per the code you want. Okay, so that is called enhancing a test. Then you want to debug. Let's say there are issues in the code or issues you want to give some again it's a part of the tweaking of the code. Okay, you don't want some things which you want to remove and which is causing issues. Then you want to do this debugging part. That's about in the code. Let's say you have this code and you want to debug it, so you want to remove that. Okay, and then you have this running the test and analyzing the results. So once you get this, the result is generated. So that result shows how many are passed, how many are failed, and what you are trying to do. All screenshots and all those things. You can analyze those and then report defects. Okay, so once you get this report, once you get the result, you report the defects. So in this, you should not get much. You should not get many defects issues in this automation testing, unless it's something you should do. But if you get defects here, many defects here, then they will not catch this guy again. They'll go back to your tester, manual tester guy. You'll start testing because the question arises, why it was not tested before? Why are you finding this defect now? What is the reason that you are getting the defects here? Why not before? Because you can save a lot of money if the issue was caught before, right? If you're getting issues at the later stage of that, there is too much money you're spending on. So you're actually wasting money. So it should be reported before itself, manual testing. So whatever defects here, if you caught many defects, that means manual guy will get screwed up because why it was not caught before. Okay, so this is the process: recording, enhancing the test, debugging, and running the test. So record and playback. So two things mostly. Okay, and then if you have any defect, report the defect. Okay, so let's go to this add-in manager. So once you have this add-in. Okay, once you open the QTP, you have the add-in. So this add-in, why do we need add-in? Because QTP doesn't recognize every language, right? So let's say so we have this. Let's go to Amazon. So we have this Amazon, and let's go to code. So this has so much of information, right? This has HTML, this has, and if there are videos here, it also have Ajax, okay? Flash, if you have this Flash, there's so many things. That means in one website, you have this Java, JavaScript, HTML, okay? And, okay, they have the JavaScript, okay? And then you have this, so a lot of things are integrated in one thing, so just not one or two things. There's so many things. So QTP don't know everything. So there are add-ins. That add-ins helps to QTP to recognize it, because let's say QTP only knows HTML. Now there is a Java in that. Then you have this Java. You need to check mark that, so that you want to make sure that QTP also understands Java. Okay, Then you have this web, you want to check mark that. That means QTP also should understand whatever the information which is displayed in the web. So that's the reason of having add-in manager. So add-in helps to understand more languages for the QTP. Okay, so that's the reason you have this add-in manager. You have this ActiveX. If you are any videos or something, you have this active Visual Basic and web. And other add-ins you have, Oracles, SAP, Java, C++, so on. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So we have this, recording modes. The three recordings: normal recording, analog recording, and low level recording. So in normal recording, you always record left clicks of mouse buttons. Let's say you're clicking some button, right? Let's say if you're clicking some buttons. Come back over here. So let's say you're clicking this button. You're using left click. So that's called normal recording. So normal recording are, comes under this left click song, and analog recording. Let's say you're trying to record something which is the keyboard. Let's say it's like you're using tab, okay, and you want to use the tab and move the cursor. You can also use the tab, right? Let's say so when I use this tab, you see that blue color it moves to the next tab. So that kind of recording is called analog recording, because you cannot record that keyboards hits or keyboards enter, all those things you cannot use through normal, so you use analog recording for that. You have this low level recording, that if you use the special keys, like let's say example here, right click of a mouse. So here you have right click is different, right? You have this right click scenarios are showing up different, and here it's completely different. So every web page right click has its own choice, okay, of clicking on this. So that's the reason you need this low level recording. Okay, so I mean that's an example. Just don't take it as a granted. I just giving you example like what are those features. There are more to do on this low level and analog. Okay, so this is an example to make you understand what kind of recordings you can use. Okay, and there's modes, two modes, normal and fast. So normal we want to do is normal recording. Okay, fast you can also do fast recording. I'm sorry, to running. Okay, so these are run. Actually, when once you record it, you run it, right? So you can do either normal run or fast run. Okay. Let's go in each and every detail about this QTP. Okay. So this is the user interface. So this user interface is pretty old. No more. This is no more. It's in such a way, but okay. So this is no more used. Okay. But but the buttons are same. Like buttons will be there as a somewhere. It's not exactly. You may not find this immediate. Right here. It will be somewhere like in a menu bar. Can be in a menu bar. Okay. Okay, so let's go each and every. So this is like, title bar. So this is called title bar, where you know where it shows the title, where is title, what kind of recording is that. And then you have this menu bar where all the menus like file, edit, view, insert, test. So these are like menu. This is called menu bar. Okay. And this is like file toolbar. These are like shortcuts. So these are available in also in the menu bar, but this is shortcuts. Okay. For you to, instead of going, clicking that button, you have this shortcut option. And this is debug toolbar. If you want to debug your script, you want to use that. And these are like testing toolbar where all the testing features like record, run, playback, transaction time, all those things. Okay. And this is action toolbar. So we'll talk about this action. Okay. So action is something called like it's a workspace. Action is basically the workspace where you'll be so it will be using action for every script you want to record, because it's a workspace. If you want to write a code, you need something, right? Like Notepad, WordPad, or MS Word or something else. So that's called action. So let's say workspace for QTP. Okay, so that's action. And this is test pane, where all the information about this will be shown. Okay, and then this is like data table. Data table is like Excel integrated into QTP. It's like own Excel for QTP, not MS Excel. It's Excel for QTP, integrated into it. Okay, so that's our data table. And this is status bars. The status, and this is screen, active screen, where this is for like let's say you want to screenshot, need some screenshot. So these are like screenshots when you are running recording. So once you've recorded test, right, you want to play back. Once you play back, all this information is shown here. So this is called active screen. Okay, this is all about this QTP. Let's go each and every buttons in this. So we know about this menu, right? File, edit, view, insert, test, step, debug, tools, help. Okay, all this information, if you don't find anything in the shortcut, all the information will be there in this menu bar. Okay. In the file toolbar, right? This is if you want to open a new script, or you want to write a new script, then you can use that. And this is for to open a script. Let's say you want to open a script, you can use that. And this floppy icon is to save the script. Print, if you want to print that, you can use that. And let's go to this. Okay, so that is, this is HPALM connection. HPALM or quality center connection. So ALM, you can get access, you can request, you can request respective manager, for the access for ALM. QTP is, QTP, you have this software in Google Drive. Okay, if you want, I can show you like, it's exactly the software. You can download it and install, you need to install it. Okay, so you can do that with, QTP. Okay, so that's an option actually. Okay, so this is for HPALM connection. Okay, let's say you have this, scripts, which are generated in the because there's an automation developer. Let's say you are a tester, you are an automation tester. Let's say you're a tester, but there is a developer, automation developer. They develop the script. Okay, so before that there is automation architect. So those guys design the script. So here they have designed, they develop the script because somebody else does the work, right? So you need to get the script. For that reason, they have this HPALM connection. so that they can pull out the script. What once they have worked in it, they put the script, checking the script in the HPLM, and from here you can pull out the script. Okay, so you can pull out the script, connect this, and you have these credentials, users credentials, and you can pull out the script, and it shows in the screen. So here you are not designing any script, we are only running that script. Okay, basically you have that script and you are trying to run it. You are actually logging into HPLM and running the scripts. So that's about quality center connection. So one more, you have this box. So this is called object repository. Okay, so you have this object repository. Okay, so before going that, right, let's let's talk about a little bit in detail about so whenever you are trying to do, right, you are trying to record in QTP. Okay, so whenever you're trying to record, so QTP have to recognize your action. So what are you trying to do? You're clicking these buttons, you're navigating this page, you're accessing this URL, you're clicking on something else, or drop down box, screenshot. What are you trying to do? QTP has to record that, but QTP only recognizes using object. Okay, property of an object and its values. So can anyone tell, like, what is an object? What's an object in, like, software application? It's not in general. So I know in general objects. What is an object in an application? Let's web application. Let's say be specific. What's an object? Let's say take this example. So what's an object here in this web application? Because QTP only recognizes anything through objects. Property of an object, property and its values of an object. So how how do you think that QTP recognizes, and what are these objects here? Let's say in this web application, what is an object? Okay, so object, it is like it contains properties and its values. So whatever is the object, so anything can be an object. Okay, so this text is an object. Okay, this web page is an object. Whole web, web is an object. So this image is an object. So everything is an object. So what is object contains? Object contains properties and its values. Let's take example here. So GMO Online. So enter GMO Online button. So I'm trying to click this button, right? But QTP has to know that you have clicked this button. How does QTP know? QTP know because that's an object, right? And it has property. What is the property? It has this, length. It has this height. Okay, so that's one. But the problem is all the three buttons have the same length and height. No, so that is not unique. So QTP only recognizes unique objects. Okay, so that's not unique, right? So all the three, have the same property. So you have clicked this. So how does QTP know you have clicked this button? This is also another button about GMO and browser test button. It doesn't know. So there is one more unique quality of this object saying that enter GMO Online title. The title on this button is different. So all the three titles are different. So now QTP knows that you have clicked this because that recognizes that this title is different from all these three titles, all the two titles. Okay, so that's how QTP. So that's one of the property. So only way to recognize an QTP is its property and its value. What is its property? Title. What is value? Enter GMO Online. Okay, so that's how it is. So all this information has to get stored somewhere, right? So that is where it gets stored. This is called object repository, where all the information about these objects gets stored in the object repository. Okay. But in later case, when you do when you're working on dynamic, dynamic application, web application, then it's no more, you don't want to use that one. You will be using descriptive programming, because there you are not worrying about any objects, because you are actually giving the property and values by itself in the code. In the code, you are actually giving that information. So at that reason, at that time, you don't need this, because there will be a more advanced web application where um, that's called dynamic web application, where buttons and values keep on changing. So in that case, you do no more using this one. Okay, so that's object repository. Then you see this man with the hat. So that's called object spy. So you want to know, okay, so this time say this property and its value doesn't mean that we have to know, right? We have to know what's the property and what is value. So once you click that button, the man with the hat guy, so after clicking that, and click on some button, let's say this button. Okay, once you click on, all the information about properties and values will shows up. So in that case, you can so that okay, so this has its property and this has its values. So you will get all the information about this button. Okay, what are these property and where you are trying to click, and what is the next page, okay, so on. Okay, so you can get through. Okay, so this man with the hat shows the information about the button. Okay, then you have this do debug toolbar. You can if you have like lines of code, let's say 30 lines or 40 lines of code, then you want to break the code one by one and want to run that. Okay, so you use this breakpoint, and you can run this code, and whenever you want to stop it, you can use this. This is for debug toolbar, which is more related for developer, okay, automation developer. Okay, so testing toolbar. So record, whenever you want to record the script, you use this button. Once you have recorded, this is disabled, so only this is enabled when you record it, right? And then once you have recorded and everything is good, you want to run it. Okay, you use this one. Okay, and you have this transaction time. I'm sorry, this is action. This is action. Okay, so where you can open a new action. So action, I told you, right? So action is kind of workspace. Okay, just you want to see, like the workspace means it has to do a lot of things, because workspace can be split. Workspace can be divided, like you want to use for locally, you want to use for globally. Okay, all those things. So this is action. You want to create new workspace, then you can use that. Split action, you can also split that workspace. You want to half use now, no, I don't want to use half, so on. So you can split an action. Okay, and then you have these two things, which is start transaction time and end transaction time. Okay, so this start transaction time you use once you are navigating this web page from one page to another, right? So you want to see the granularity of that application. You want to have more information and what trying to do in the next page. What is the time it is taking? Okay, what's happening after the next web page? What are the buttons there? All those things. So in that scenario, you use these two buttons: start transaction time and end transaction time. Okay, and you have this NLR recording and low level recording. Okay. So this is keyword view. So keyword view, you have this, item where it's an object. So item is actually an object, and operation, what operation you are trying to do. Okay, is it a select, is it a drop down box, or it is a click button or set button. Okay, what operation you are trying to do. And the next is value. What's the value for that? Okay, so if it's click, then you can have this click. Okay, and if it's a drop down, what's the value for this drop down Mercury? Okay, so on. And this information about this, what is trying to happen once you click on this. Okay, so you have this both property and its value here itself. This is value and this is property. Okay, In the expert view, you have all the code. And you have this data table. So data table we use more for parameterization. We will go through this parameterization. So this parameterization, we can use this for this data to put all the data into the data table, and you can, use that one. And this active screen is use whatever you're trying to run that script. Let's say you're running that script, okay, and you see this, screenshots or whatever checkpoints you have used, all those things you can see in this active scripts. Any questions so far? So these are all like buttons, information about the button and the about this QTP. Any questions so far? So let's move to the next one. So that was about this introduction about various buttons. Okay, so let's move to one by one. Here you can create a test. So again, when you're running this, right, you have this test cases, separate test cases designed for QTP. Okay, so you're not using that manual test cases here. Here the separate automation test cases you'll be designing either by your own. Again, you want to copy paste from manual. Okay, fine, and add some, tweak the test cases, add some features. Okay, add some, okay, so all those things you can do that. Okay, but a separate test should be, created for this automation. Okay, so first you create the test. Okay, it is test cases or or some framework. If you want to create your own framework, like just like the framework is kind of directories, right? Let's say you take it as directories. You have this test cases, okay, test results, okay, screenshots, okay, reports, defects. So you have these 4 to 5 directories, and you put all the information in that directory. Okay, so that's called framework. You can also create a framework. Okay, so let's go to the object repository. So I've already explained you about object repository. Since QTP recognizes only through objects. Okay, so this is like parent objects. So here, let's say if you're taking this application, okay, this web application, the parent object is this web. Okay, so whatever the browser, so that comes the parent object. Next, you have this child objects. Okay, so one by one, like this URL is a child object, and then you have this whole web page, that's another child object, and this button will be last because it's the end of the like after this there is no other dependent object, right? So this is called like child objects, as you see here, right? So first is welcome Mercury, so that's a whole browser, complete browser, that's a parent object, and later you have this child objects of this. So these are like child objects, and the whatever is property and its value shows up here. Okay, so this is an object repository where it shows the information about what is the property of an object and what are its value. Okay, so this is about object repository. Object spy. So spy in spy, right? To gather the information about this particular object. So that's called object spy. Okay, so you want to get some information. What information? Again, what is property and its values. Height. So the properties of an object can be anything, right? It has height, length, breadth, width. Okay, size. If it is weight, then it also has weight. So here we don't have weight because it's application. Okay, and this value is like 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 1 meter, 3 meter, so on. Okay, so that's the value. So using object spy, you can gather all the information about what are the values, and you can, when you are doing descriptive programming, this will be more helpful. Okay, but in normal, you don't use that much unless you want to know what is that object is trying to do. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. How does quick test recognizes an object? We have these 3 properties, mandatory properties, assistive properties and order identifiers. These three properties, QTP recognizes these objects. But if you want to identify a unique object, so as I told you, right? So you have these three objects: enter geo online button, this button, and this button. Now, as I told you, like QTP, just all the three properties and values are same. But the unique is the title. Title enter geo online is a unique for this button only. There's no other enter geo online. That's how QTP can recognize. This has to be unique if you want to identify that object. Okay. Let's go next. Synchronization. So, okay, so let's go to the next one, synchronization. So why do we need this synchronization in this QTP? Okay. So QTP runs fast, right? It's quickly, goes, and once you record that application, all the information is stored. So there's nothing to do anything else. You just use that information and move forward, right? You just, run fast. When you're playing, once you record, you just take some time. But when you're trying to play it, okay, so it goes, fast. But let's say there was some issue. Okay, so there is a hardware issue or server issue, and the server has become a little slow. Okay, server has become slow, and the web page is moving from another web page is a little bit slow. But QTP don't know. What does QTP know? QTP doesn't know. So it goes to the next page and says, okay, this application is not responding. Open a defect. So it, the result gets failed because QTP thinks that, just because that web page is not moving to the next page in some specified amount of time, it thinks it's a defect, and the test case gets failed. So we don't want that, right? Because we know it's not a defect. The server is slow, and QTP was trying to go fast because as always it goes fast. So you need the synchronization. Okay, so that's the reason you need this synchronization. So you want to synchronize that application, and you want to tell the QTP that to wait. So whenever you have this code, you put that wait code. Just this is a one-line code. Just wait, and in bracket you put 10. 10 means 10 seconds. 5. Put a 5 seconds. That means you are telling the QTP to wait. So that's the reason you need synchronization, because there may not be always defect just because the application is running slow. So it's not defect, right? Okay, there might be a performance issue. That's a different story. But that's not a defect. Okay, so that's why you need the synchronization. Okay, to synchronize, you have this option of going like you can go into menu toolbar, go to insert, step, and synchronize. Okay, so let's say you have this code. And so this is the code you'll be writing, like wait the bracket 10. That means wait for 10 seconds. Okay, so this is the code. Like window is like pop up. If I can say, like not exactly pop up. It's like just window is like, let's say you're here, right? So we're trying to put some. So this is a window. Okay, so it's kind of pop up. Okay. Okay, so that pop-up shows like win button. So that has button. Okay, let's we'll just go through that one line of code. Let you know how does that one line. So as a tester, you may not require all this. I mean, okay, so, but just you can have some knowledge saying that okay, because you need to have some knowledge, right? Whenever you're trying to test this. Okay, so when you are clicking this, so you are putting some character and you're trying to order. So this is a window, right? So this is a window, and this is button. Okay, button. So you're clicking this. So what does it say? Let's say this is a window, and the window name is called flights. Okay, so here we don't have name. Too bad. They didn't put. It's not put some name like error. Since you have this error button, right? That's now title. This doesn't have title, unfortunately. This cannot be coded properly. Okay, so they should have some title called error message or something. Okay, so this is the window, and that's what you're trying to write in the script. And the window name is, the title name is slides and win button. Okay, so this is win button. Okay, and what is its name again? Update order. So here we have OK button. Okay, so here they have this update order button, so they click it. So dot wait. So this is keyword for QTP enabled, and they have this option 1, comma. Okay, so this is the code, one line code for a pop-up window. Okay, so this pop-up window, right? Okay, this is like pop-up window. There's one line code for this pop-up window to click this OK button. Similar way, one line window to update order. Okay. So here you're adding in wait statement. So for this, if the status window is dialog box dot exists, then wait for 10. That's how you're trying to synchronize, QTP saying that, okay, you need to wait. Okay, you need to wait so that, once the application completely loads, so we know in 10 seconds the application, of course, will get loaded, right? And then you can continue your process. That is the reason for synchronization. Okay, so next you have these checkpoints. Any questions? We'll go quickly from here. We don't have much time. Okay, checkpoints. Checkpoints is kind of, this is like manually, although you will be having these checkpoints, you'll be checking manually. Okay, so what is the checkpoint? Checkpoint is to verify the point. So let's say you put a click on this. Okay, let's say you want to verify this, button, enter Gmail. So you click on checkpoint. Checkpoint itself, like, that button will get highlighted when you're trying to play. Okay, so when you record it, you enter the checkpoint. Okay, that means you want to see this button. And when you play back, this get highlighted in the active screen. We've seen this active screen, right? The purple color. Okay, let me show you quickly again. You see this purple color, in Mercury. So that is called checkpoint. Okay, so they use the checkpoint, but that is manually. I mean, it's nothing to do with, you want to see that button. That's what it means. Checkpoint is you want to check it. You want to see it manually. That's called checkpoint. Okay, to verify that button exists or not. Okay, so you can insert checkpoint from menu and insert checkpoint, standard checkpoint. Okay. So there were very there are other checkpoints. So the standard checkpoint, if you don't know what checkpoint you have to use, you can use standard checkpoint for if you don't know what checkpoint you have to use. Okay, then you have these image checkpoints, normally for images. Let's say this image, you can use this image checkpoint. Okay, then you have this table checkpoint. If you want to checkpoint a table, okay, you can use this table checkpoint. Then page checkpoint, if you want to checkpoint the whole page, you can use this page checkpoint. Text checkpoint, if you want to text, just like this text game online, want to this is manually. You will be clicking on this using checkpoint, but while viewing it, you'll be viewing manually. Okay, that's text checkpoint. Then you have text area checkpoint. Let's say you have this area on this text, right? This area. So only the area between G and M. So that's called text area checkpoint. Okay, and then your bitmap checkpoint. Bitmap checkpoint is similar to image checkpoint. Okay, so if you have any images, you can use this. And then you have database checkpoint. So if you have any database connected to the QTP, you can also do the database checkpoint. Okay. here, so this slide shows you an example, how to use this checkpoint. So you are in this keyword view, right? So you want to use this checkpoint, you can use this checkpoint. Okay, so just right click it and you have this option, insert standard checkpoint, or you can go to a menu bar and go to insert and checkpoints. You can use that. So there are two options. Then you have this regular expressions. So let's go into parameters. So why do we need this parameterization? So let's say you're testing an application which contains more than one values, more than one value. We know this object has its property and its value, right? It can have more than one value. Okay. So for example, we'll take this for sake of example, just google.com. So this button here, right? You see this button after Google search. This has more than one value. This is like I'm feeling lucky, but when I roll down this mouse over here, say I'm feeling puzzled. Again, when I roll over the mouse over there, say I'm feeling stellar. So this has more than one values, right? It's not one. It's keep on changing, I'm feeling puzzled, there's like too many, like 10, 20, 30, I don't know, there are so many. So in that case, you want to test each and every button. Okay, you want to test each and, there's altogether only one button, but it's roll over mouse, roll over button, right? So, you want to test each and every, button in that. So that's the reason you need this parameterization. Why? Because you don't want to record, let's say there are 30 buttons there. It's 30 times, 30 different things. You cannot record 30 times, right? You have to record only once. You don't want to record 30 times and to just to check that only one button. You cannot do that. So that is not efficient way of doing, right? So you will record once, and what you do is you change the value for that and put some parameter. Parameter is kind of variable. Okay, that means it get varies from one to another. So and you want to change that value. Okay, so just one value. Let's say we recorded the script and we recorded only for I'm feeling lucky. So now you remove that value and put some name like item. Like here in case we put in. And you want to specify that value in the Excel sheet we provided in QTP. Okay, and you put all the information there. How many values you want to put? You can enter 10, 20, 30, 1,000, 10,000, whatever the value. It runs 10,000 times. Then it has these iterations, which I know the QTP runs. How many times you put the values, that many times it runs. Okay, so that's the reason you need this parameterization. Okay. So let's take an example here. So here we have this value London. Let's say you're selecting here flight from one flight to another flight, right? From Paris to London. Now you have this Paris to London. Then you have this from London to Frankfurt. There are so many flights. So more than one value, right? So here you cannot put invalid value. If you want to put invalid value, then the script fails because that value should exist here, right? It has to exist. If that value doesn't exist, then the script gets failed. And you have to open a defect, or the value should not be wrong. If it is wrong, that means the data is wrong. You want to put the data wrong data, right? The value should be always what it has exist here. So it has London. So we'll just remove this from London and put a parameter. And once you put this parameter and you put this, change it to parameter data table. The data table is what the Excel sheet provided in QTP, right? And the name you are changing at p_item. If you want to use global sheet, use global sheet or current sheet. Okay. And you see here this shows better. So what you're trying to do is like you have from and to. Okay, from London to Paris is one iteration you want to run. So there are like 4 iterations. Now QTP performs 4 iterations, but you have recorded only once. So okay, now then you want to put the value for Paris and London. Then Denver to Paris and Paris to Denver. Okay, now QTP runs the script 4 different times. Okay, 4 different times because you have allocated 4 different data for this. Okay, that's the use of this parameterization, because you want to check each and every value. Okay, so I'll give you an example for this, right? This button, you want to see each and every button, how does it performs. Okay, for that reason we need this parameterization. Okay, so once any questions so far in parameterization? Okay, so now once you have run, right, you've run the result and the result is generated. Okay, so this result is automatically generated. Here it shows the results. So this has tested all these objects. So this shows that all the objects has been tested. Okay, these are all objects and how many iterations it has done for each object. Okay, what has done, and it shows the result. If it is failed, it shows that failed. If it is passed, it shows the pass, and warnings. If there are any warnings, it shows the warnings. Okay. So parameterize the checkpoint too. Okay. So let's say let's work on different actions. Okay. Now I told you like action is kind of worksheet. Okay, worksheet. So let's say you want to write a code, right? You want to write a code. So you need some space to write, right? Let's say notepad. You're writing code in notepad. Okay, so that's called action. Okay, but it's integrated in QTP. It's not nothing to do with external. It's integrated in QTP. Click new action. That means a new worksheet shows up. Okay, so those actions are divided into 2 types. There's regular and non-reusable and reusable action. So non-reusable is something which you don't want to use. Okay, once it's used, done. That means that script is done and you don't want to use again. Reusable. Reusable action you need, especially let's say you want to create a library file. You want this code which will be used in more and more. Okay, and you in your code when you're trying to use, you'll be using more and more. So in that case, you want to use this reusable and dump that file into library file. So that's called reusable action. Okay, and this has more like locally and externally. So let's say you're only using local. That means you are using for yourself, and if it is externally, that means all the team members are using. That's called externally. Okay, so these are types of actions. Okay, you can create a new action. Okay, and you can open a new action. After recording too. Okay, you can perform various using the actions. You can split an action. Here you have the split option. Okay. And this this screen shows like how to use this action. You can have this insert option, and again call action or copy an action or call to existing action. So call to existing action means you already have this action which is created and you have created in library action, and you want to library file, you want to call it. So you can use this call action. So whatever the script is there in that action, right, it runs. If it is like 1,000 lines of code or 30,000 lines of whatever it is, it runs and then it shows the result. Then that result is used in this current script, and you can use it. So it's kind of multiple actions. You're dealing with multiple actions. Okay. So You can use this. This is various options for this actions. Okay, so let's go to the recovery scenario. Okay, let's quickly check about the recovery scenario. Okay, so why do we need this recovery scenario, right? Let's say you're running this script in QTP. Okay, you're running this script in QTP, and there's some pop-up window shows up, and it's not a bug. It's not a bug, and it's some server issue, and okay, some server issue, and that's not a bug really, and it's it's not supposed to be there, but it suddenly shows up, and so suddenly a pop-up window when the script is running, a pop-up window shows up for no reason. So now you don't want QTP once the pop-up window shows up, because there is no script for the pop-up window, because there is, when you recorded the script, there was nothing called pop-up window. Suddenly when it's running, it shows up from nowhere. So in that scenario, QTP thinks it's a bug and it reports, okay, the test case fails. Okay, but we don't want that to happen, okay, because we want to even ignore that. Let's say we want to ignore that pop-up window. So ignore it, and what you're trying to say to the QTP is that ignore that pop-up window and proceed with your next scripts. Okay, whatever the code is there, you perform with that, but ignore that pop-up window. In that case, you need this recovery scenario. Okay, so you're telling the QTP that unexpected events, like there's some issue with the server. Actually, suddenly server is slow, and suddenly some pop-up window shows up from no reason. There was some server itself, nothing to do with the application. Okay, so what you want to do is you want telling that QTP to ignore that and continue with the script, with the remaining script. Okay, that's the reason you need this recovery scenario. So we have these three types: trigger event, recovery option, post recovery run option. You can use this recovery scenario using recovery scenario wizard. Okay, so once you just like here I given the pop-up window, right? So there are other scenarios, which is object state, test run error, application crash. Sometimes application may get crashed because of server issue, nothing to do with application. So we don't want application to be failed, right? The result to be failed. So in that case, we want to create this scenario saying you're telling QTP that if there is situation such that, ignore it. We want to move with the other, not to stick with that one, right? That's the reason we use this. Okay. So now let's go to the next one. Let's quickly finish this. Now we want to create a test without object repository. So I've told you, right? So you are creating everything, record and playback. So we are trying to do record and playback. Here, we don't want to record and playback. Why? Because it's a dynamic website. The dynamic website, the buttons keep on changing. Sometimes this button is here, sometimes the button is nowhere. But that's hidden. We don't know. But you want to still test that. Okay, you want to create scripts for that. In that case, you need to do coding. Okay, you want to write some code here. So let's see, quickly check this code, with one-line code. So dialog. So dialog is, again, it's a kind of pop-up. So window, dialog, pop-up windows are similar names, not same. Okay, so used for different reasons. Okay, and so dialog, and in the dialog you have this name, property. So this is an object property, and login is value. So you're already inserting these values and properties here itself. Dot winEdit. WinEdit means it's an edit box. Okay, and so it's like login button. Okay, so you have this login button, right? So you have this agent name dot set. That means you're trying to set it. Okay, and this you're trying to click it. Okay, this is one-line code for this button. Pop-up window, dialog box. Okay, so the dialog is, as I told you, right? It's a window, just like window we've seen here. This is an example I'm just giving. Nothing to do this. This is a window, right? So it is a pop-up window, dialog window, all say similar names. If you have this title, you can also put the title name. Okay, so here we have only OK button, but instead of OK, you have this, login name and agent name. You have these two things. Okay. So what you're trying to do is, you want to, let's go to the next one. Okay, so let's quickly check here. Okay. So here what you are trying to do is you are just clicking dot set. Dot set means you are just clicking on that service OK button, kind of like, if you clicking that, what I would do, right? For that button, if I have to write a code for this button, right? Let's say if I have to write this code for this button, what I'll do is, like, I'll just put as dot click and name is OK. I'll just put here OK. Okay, so this is how, one line code for this pop-up window. Okay, so here you can, so this is our like second example here. You have this error window which is open, which is, text OK, and you are giving here property and its value 50 and dot click. See this? This is one line code for this button. So what we are achieving with this code is you are trying to click this button. That's what we are trying to do. So for that we have written this code. Okay. So the next, you have this description as text, value is 50. So you can, enter all these properties and its values inside the code. So here you are not using any, object properties that are stored in this repository. You are using your own. You are using your own, property and its values using, spy, object spy. You are using that, and you are trying to put all the information in the code itself. So when you are trying to do that, okay, this is called descriptive programming. Okay, so this is one more code. Window, the window name is error. Okay, the title actually is error. That's why it's showing as window. Window is pop-up window again. Okay, dot win button. Win button is the button, like we said, like OK button. That button name is my description, and you're trying to click. So you're dot click. You're clicking that button. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is you are clicking that button. To click that button, you need to write whole code, one line code. Okay, so that's all about, introduction about this QTP. Any questions so far? So if you want, if you want to use this QTP, right? So there is, I've put this software. So let's quickly check. In the Google Drive, so everyone have access to Google Drive, right? Go to Google Drive. And there's like directory number. Let's quickly check the directory number. Software, Explorer 24, directory number 24. Go to the automation tool, click on that, go to QTP, and you can download 12.51. That's the latest one, it's 2 GB, and you can, extract that file and you can run it. Okay, you can do that, but I mean, you don't have to do it unless, if you're interested in only giving as, automation tester or automation developer. You want to do that, you can do that. Otherwise, I mean, don't have to worry about it. If you want any tutorials for QTP, okay, so just go this tutorial. This is good. tutorial. So there are so many tutorials here. So when I was there, only it was like around 40 tutorials. Okay. Now it has been reached to 80, it's almost double. Okay. So there are so many tutorials. You can go one by one. Okay, if you are really interested. So it's the website is qtp.blogspot.in. This is good. You can have this recordings, parameterizations, all these things you can do. You can also do this descriptive programming too. Okay. So if you want to learn more, you can go ahead and use that one. Okay. So any more questions? So tomorrow, we'll just, whoever has not done certifications will just give an introduction. I'll just give an introduction certification. And we can just quickly browse and another test management tool, that is Team Foundation Server, TFS, that's from Microsoft. We'll just have a just glance. You won't have to, practice or something, or just don't get confused with so many tools, but just to have an idea and just to have a look into it. So how does that looks like? Okay, so we go through that tomorrow once quickly, and then we'll close this class. Okay, so if no one has any questions, can we close this class for today? Okay, thank you guys.